Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Poacher Podcast here. It is Saturday night, June 21st. Sorry I've been missing the last couple days with some recaps here. Just life, things get in the way sometimes. But glad to be back. Same time now. I got a little bit of a setup now. I got, Mike looking, a little more podcast like. So let me know what you guys think in the comments here. But anyway, let's get into some games. There's been a lot of action last few days, and just what I thought. Match day two, the intensity is definitely picked up here in the Club World Cup. I think a lot of us expected this. I think in the beginning stages, like match day one, I think a lot of teams were just kind of feeling out how the format's going to be, getting used to the elements, all that good jazz. But now, the games are real. We got teams, advancing second round. We got other teams that are being eliminated. So a lot of great action. I would say, especially like the last 3 days, was awesome. So let's jump right into it, right? So we got Thursday, June 19th here. We had four games slated. Palmeiras won 2-0. Then we also have, the first big upset of the tournament, which is Miami, Inter Miami beating FC Porto. We'll go over that in a few seconds here. Then we have Atletico Madrid beating the Seattle Sounders 3-1. And then we have Botafogo with the other big upset of that day, beating PSG from the Rose Bowl, right? So now I'll talk about Inter Miami, right? Inter Miami, I would say, in the 30 years of MLS, this was their biggest win, right? This proved that, like, not say MLS can hang with European teams, but this kind of gives some type of hope and aspirations for MLS clubs that if they get their stuff together on a developmental level, then they can compete with some of these big teams in the world. Will they ever be the best club team in the world? Maybe not in my lifetime, but like something that can excite the league a little bit more coming up. And then the other kicker here too is like I think we just been very very blessed, right? We've been very fortunate to see a player like Messi's caliber play this well for 20 years. I think, and this was something I would like to do a podcast about, like Messi and CR7 and other like great legends of the game here. But I think with Messi, he does it again. He is the magic man. Like a lot like to call it the goat, right? For sure. And he proved his goat status on that stage in Atlanta with that free kick goal. Phenomenal, chef's kiss for sure. Now you look at like yesterday's games here. Benfica, quite a sleeper game, win 6-0. Then you look at like Flamingo beating Chelsea 3-1. Exciting second half there that we saw in Philly. Then you look at like LAFC somehow choking a penalty late to lose Esperanza and be eliminated for the tournament, and that's a huge downer for MLS hopes on that for sure. And then I think probably one of the best atmospheres of the tournament so far was the Bayern Munich Boca Juniors game in Miami, where if you saw the videos from that, it looked like semi Buenos Aires esque, and I would say for sure like the Latin American countries are definitely representing this tournament. And again, I'm waiting for the European like fan bases to show up. Right, I haven't really seen that quite yet. I've seen like their American fan clubs, but I haven't really seen like those fans actually show up. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe in the second round they might actually come out, and put some support because right now, like I said, the Mexican South American like clubs, they're definitely showed up for this one. It is great to watch. This is why this competition exists, right? For sure. But now let's go into today's games, right? Today's games, I would say for the most part, were exciting, right? I honestly think I didn't know the game of the day would be so early in the day, which is the Sundowns FC against Dortmund games, 4-3, exciting back and forth, a lot of goals, with that. But Dortmund gets all 3 points, well needed for them, based on their draw in their first match. So Dortmund gets the win there. Inter Miami against the Red Diamonds here, the team from Japan, and great fan base. Same thing. Watch those videos of those fan bases jump up and down from the stands here from Lumen Field. But Inter, man, they were struggling for a while. They just were trying to play against a wall of seven players, and as if everyone's played ball before, man, like breaking down a low block, it's not easy. You need creativity, same time, take chances, and sometimes you need a special play, and they got that from Martinez, right? He scored an incredible goal, off a corner kick, pretty much like you can see acrobatically hitting the ball behind his head. The goal goes in, gets some momentum, and then Inter find a way to snatch all 3 points at the end of the game, eliminating the Red Diamonds for the competition. Which like that's one of those good stories that like you want them to stick around based on like how their fans interacted with their club. But unfortunately, this year is not their year when it comes down to that. Fluminense, another exciting game against Ulsan. Ulsan had a lead in this one at the half, and same thing. Everyone's waiting to say, hey, when one of these Brazilian teams going to lose, and Fluminense did not let them down. They came roaring back, ended up scoring three in the second half and winning this game 4-2 on that. And then the last game, even though River Plate Monterrey was 0-0, and on the box score it might look like boring, but actually this was a good game. You had like Monterrey dominating the possession aspect on that, and then you had a lot of fouls, man. And this is one of those games that and I say it's like a rivalry tone, but you can kind of sense that like these two clubs might not like each other, and something about like Mexican clubs and Argentine clubs, they just don't gel sometimes. I'm not gonna say like Argentina football and Mexican football is a rivalry because Argentina's gotten majority of those wins, but for sure, there is no love on that aspect, which for the football viewer like myself makes the games more fun to explore. So that for sure, great games from today. From the Club World Cup perspective, we're looking at tomorrow's matches coming up here. We have some quite exciting ones for sure. So tomorrow, we have Juventus and Wydad play at early slate of games at 12 o'clock Eastern, 9 p.m. Pacific. On that, I think Juventus wins that 3-0. I think they looked excellent their first game. I don't see them slowing down from that. Then you got Real Madrid against Pachuca. I think this game might be closer than what most people think, but I think Real Madrid, based on their not so great performance in their last match, I think they get this win 2-1 or 3-1, somewhere around that realm. Then Salzburg and Al Hilal from Saudi Arabia. I think this might be a draw. I looking at this closely, I do feel that like there are this is one of those games that like Salzburg does not take it as seriously, and that could come back to bite them. So I think I do see a draw. And then Man City's game at 6 o'clock, I do see them winning. Just for the most part, it's Man City. They have the roster to go deep in this tournament, and I think they're just going to try to get the other 6 points, make sure they get in the second round, for sure on that. So that is tomorrow's games on for Club World Cup. Real quick, let's go over Gold Cup. Gold Cup. To be honest with you, like the timing of Gold Cup is probably one of the worst I've seen. Right? Like it's. I think the only people watching Gold Cup realistically, if you're pro US or pro Mexico, and there's nothing else you want to watch on TV. I think everybody else is watching the Club World Cup. It's by far the better competition. But anyway, not enough bash in the Gold Cup, right? So I think you look at like matches coming up here on tomorrow here. Actually, let's do today real quick. Curacao, Canada. You know, Canada. I don't know what to feel right now. Canada is like you win 6-0 and then you tie Curacao on a late goal. Kind of like a buzzkill. You really think about it. Now you look at like Honduras. Honduras, made up for themselves. They got a good win against El Salvador, 2-0, and get themselves back into the mix of making it to the next round. We should have a good chance now. They're playing against Curacao the next game, so we'll see what happens with that. Tomorrow, you look at tomorrow's games here. We have, two double headers at the same time, right? So you're looking at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. You got Group D final day play, which is Saudi Arabia against Trinidad and Tobago. I think Saudi Arabia wins that 2-1. And then you look at like USA Haiti. Haiti does win that as well. I think probably 3-0 on that. And I think right now it'll be US first and Saudi Arabia second in that group. Then you look at the evening games. I think Dominican Republic wins their game as a good way to be sent out. And then I think the game of the night in Gold Cup, it's going to be Mexico, Costa Rica. Main reason is one, in general, these two teams play very, very competitive against each other. So that's one thing. And then second is, for Costa Rica, their head coach is Coach Herrera here. And if everyone knows who this guy is, this guy's El Piojo. This guy used to coach Mexico in the 2014 World Cup. He is the guy that's passionate off the bench, screaming when they score. So many memes has came out about this coach, and it's kind of full circle going against Mexico tomorrow. and the winner of this game will win the group. And I think for sure, it's gonna be an exciting matchup. I think probably the most exciting matchup in Gold Cup in the first round coming up. And of course, as you know, Gold Cup, it doesn't get interesting until the semifinal anyway. Coming up on that, but outside of that, everyone, thanks for watching the entire video. I appreciate that. Subscribe. I'm gonna try to put out content best way I can. Just trying to keep up with it. But outside of that, everyone, enjoy the games. Have a happy Sunday here with that, and enjoy the games. Peace.